Welcome back to Paladin Gaming. I have figured out the error we were having in the last entry. It is releasing the parts out of order. So we are going to start reading the things that I missed, because it's releasing them after they should be released, but putting them in order. So I've been looking at the bottom for new stuff, and the new stuff's been in the middle. So we are going to start reading the stuff we missed, starting with Welcome to the Lion Cage. Personal log, Noemi Laporte. If you are Fedayeen, you've always been Fedayeen. That was all I got. Post-flight, medical, debrief, damage assessment on the convoy hit, strategic RAM assessment, initial projections on Steele's counter-move, there's always a counter-move, and then while I'm showering, this scarred Indo-Polish brute cuffs me on the shoulder and says it. If you are Fedayeen, you've always been Fedayeen. Then he ducks out and leaves, still dripping. I turned to Kovacs and asked who the hell that was. That was Aldawa, he said. Welcome to the Lion Cage. I guess we've been waiting for you. So I'm in now, part of their psychopathically utilitarian meritocracy. No ribbons, no ceremony, just a punch on the shoulder and that gem of a benediction. Maybe the ceremony was the part where I did nothing to stop the murder of 3 of my own people. Shit happens, right? Like that joke, what's the difference between the ship's surgeon and the mortician? Well, they're both going to get blood on the deck, but one of them doesn't have to worry about getting it off his hands before he starts on the next guy. When there aren't going to be any survivors, it stops feeling like murder, just a transaction. Spend lives, obtain gold. There's a certain admiral who understands that logic. Felt good to get back in the cockpit. The Ansari handles well. Stealth capability is remarkable. Riding on a few tons of antimatter ordnance, that's also remarkable. I could remark on that at great length. Aldawa? How can it have been Aldawa? He was a little plumber guy, not a sumo star with acid burns. He keeps changing. It doesn't make any sense unless he's some kind of master of disguise, but it wouldn't be the first time I felt that way on this ship. Sometimes it feels like their dreamscape is bleeding into reality here. Uniform discipline is non-existent. The operators barbecue lamb in the aft environmental trunk, and Thorne and her fellow analysts vanish into their Frame 16 fortress for hours at a time, communing with Cassandra, the simulator mainframe we never get to see, and which is, for reasons unknown, guarded by a platoon of combat armor. Going to take a piss. Pause log. Resume. Bellwether 4.12. Pretty name. A civilization of philosophers, artists, and scholars, huh? That's what we wanted to be too. We should have been on the same side of this war, but reality got in the way, and now they're just a new kind of chemistry on the blast spectrum. If they ever find out what really happened out there, it'll mean the end of the Federation, but hell, that's basically status quo these days. Going to build some rapport with Kay, Falconer, and Vidara. Weird chemistry between them, like sharks cruising together because they're after something they can't take down alone. Vidara keeps trying to open me up, and though I know I'm tempted, I can already tell she's the most dangerous of the bunch. That's what this whole place is like, a federation of sharks. Alright, I believe we also missed the Two Halves of Me. Personal log, Noemi Laporte. There are 2 halves of me running in parallel. On the one hand, I understand why Elder Svetlana Henriksen decided to commit high treason. The Elders have always acted to guarantee the long-term survival and prosperity of humanity. They saved the Sol system from total economic collapse after the isolation. Reluctantly, they hurled the might of the Federation into war with the Alliance because, well, because something. They know something I don't. Kin told me if the Federation dies, humanity does. Did the Elders know that? Is that why they decided to fight? Henriksen decided the GTVA was going to win the war, so she acted to cut the war short, so humanity could unite and begin rebuilding. She betrayed the rendezvous with the Vasudans and gave her colleague Tautogani to Steele. She was close to Admiral Natraba. She probably helped set up the Carthage trap. You see, it was all for the greater good. 50,000 war gods and one of her friends in exchange for the unification of humanity and the end of this war. It's the same choice I made just days ago when my wings shot down innocent Federation pilots. They had to die for the greater good. Svetlana Henriksen and I are one and the same. On the other hand, Karen, Olafumi, Gennady, Albani, 50,000 people. Before them, the Vasudan Deception, Elder Tadagani, the Luna Domes, the Jovian Convoys. Back when all this started, I kept protesting that the Tevs who perpetrated these crimes were just people like us. Naivete at its finest. Svetlana Henriksen was a traitorous monster. The Tevs she served are amoral, limp, compliant puppets worthy of only hatred, contempt, and the barrel of a gun. They invaded a peaceful star system and killed or drove mad countless people, including my dearest friends, my mother, and, I think, the woman I loved, in the name of some cold social projection and their own gibbering fear of the Shivans. I pulled the trigger to kill Svetlana Henriksen without a sliver of remorse. I would do the same for any Tev. If the worlds of the Alliance were ants beneath my feet, I would... Hey, Vidara. No, just a log entry. I've been keeping this thing since Jupiter fell. Yeah, I'll be with you in a second. You're damn right I was on and off. Let's see what you three can get out of me. We are also missing Steele's game. Personal log, Noemi Laporte. Kostadin's cell paid the price for its collusion with Steele. When Sergei Gwillem's fighters attacked the Shepsiskaf under a false Federation flag and drove the Vasudans into supporting the Terrans, Kostadin sealed its own fate. You reap what you sow. We have to believe that, don't we? Actions have consequences. Do right, you grow and prosper. Do wrong, and you die, utterly and finally. Isn't that justice? Look what tangled webs they weave. Steele orders the Gefs to attack a Vasudan logistics ship and then frames our rescue effort as a covert capture attempt. Steele orders the Gefs to attack the Shepsiskaf and to act as if they're in Federation employ. The Vasudans buy it. Why shouldn't they? They wanted to believe him. They are a people of protocol and propriety, couched in a social system so intricate that only a man like Steele could game it. Steele. You don't kill that kind of man with grit and determination. I'm going to have to outthink him. Been doing my reading. He fought the Shivans and he came back changed. He is brilliant, almost presciently so, and he builds plans intricate in their making and utterly precise in their execution. That is his weakness. His traps are perfect, made to exquisite tolerances. They rely on the flawless action of all their components, whether the jump drives of the Atreus or the trust of his subordinates. Machines he can master, but people, his people must have doubts. Even as they stand in awe of his successes, they must balk at his gambles, his inexplicable decisions, his inhuman cold and calculation. If we, can force him into a position where his approach is so outlandish, so shocking that his underlings hesitate, the machinery of his design will stick. And who among them is the weakest, the most human? The Fedayeen will know. Cassandra will know. I'll talk to Vidara first, see what she sees. Our weapons answer us without question. Our ships weather thermonuclear firestorms and still fly true. In this war, the weakest weapon system is the human mind. Who among his people is ready to break? Who doubts him? It's almost hilarious, this struggle. Steele's soulless machinery fighting a war triggered by mathematical projection and the need for control. Our Fedayeen, psychopaths harnessed to the common good, trained to go to any ends to secure the Federation's survival. No place for humanity in that equation. No reason to listen to morality when the stakes are so high. All means are justified. Is this how the Shivans came to be? Remorseless, unpredictable, working towards a goal so distant and obscure that its victims never glimpse a hint of it? I think the reason why it's putting these in the middle is because the dreamscape, if you go in the simulator, is all one mission. Like, it's a mission that you leave, do another mission, and then come back to the dreamscape, and it's still the same mission. So it's putting them all together. Anyway, our last is the new one we got from our last mission, I am a Gef. If I say that I am a Gef, a member of the Gaian effort, who am I? I live in the distant Kuiper Belt in Oort Cloud, where my ancestors fled to escape the collapse of the inner solar system. I've lived through decades of factional warfare and police excess while the inner system grew fat. I've seen children born into poverty, labor, and starvation. I've spent my life fighting mold and vacuum, raids and riots, overpopulation and disease. Maybe I believe in the Gaian ideology, the return to cometary man. The amino acids that seeded life came from the comets, I believe, and we must in time abandon planets and return to our homes, wandering from star to star down 10 million years of drift. Far from light. Far from the destroyers. Maybe I've rebuilt my children to suit their new homes. Maybe I've filled my own body with machines. And if I live in the Fedayeen cell, the Reverend Macduff's last die-hard cult, I grow cherry blossoms to give to the pilots, each one a tiny, precious use of water, each one a way to say, it is better to die a Geth than to live planet-bound. A compassionate sociology of fringe habitats, Elder Lynn Taudegani. Masyaf Personal, Eyes Only, from Thorn. Remember the Nauticus, the freighter the Geths put a bomb aboard? It was carrying in-space oscillators, subspace drive components. We don't know where it was taking them, but we figured out why the Geths want them so badly. Alright. And that was before the last mission where we stopped the Geth habitat from crashing into Earth. So, let's see if we got any new dossiers. No, we don't. Intelligence. No, we don't. So, this has been the database for Blue Planet Complete here on Paladin Gaming for Freespace 2. This is Paladin Gaming, signing off.